welcome to Inspired Coach Podcast, where today we share with you another one of our wonderful success stories of incredible people, now coaches, who have trained with us here at the Beautiful You Coaching Academy and done our Beautiful You Life Coaching course. Do I have a favourite of the type of episodes that we put out for Inspired Coach? Maybe. And I think that this might be them. Even though I love the other interviews and I always enjoy coming to you from the coach's couch, I must admit that these particular episodes, these success stories, have a very special place in my heart because I get to share with you, we get to share with you the most incredible people and what they have done and achieved and expanded into, with us being a part of their journey. Now, of course, we would never ever say that we were the reason for their success. We have just been a part of the experience and the journey that they have taken to become the coach and business owner that they have today. And so who do I have for you today? Well, I have the wonderful Lavinia Brown, who is a coach for mothers and parents, but particularly for mums. And Lavinia's work is incredible, and she has experienced and is continuing to experience an extraordinary level of success since training with us to become a coach, something that she had never done prior to training with us. So let me tell you a little bit more about her. Lavinia Brown is a trauma-informed psychodynamic coach who supports mamas to become the conscious parents and connected partners they want to be through healing their inner child. Lavinia supports her clients to integrate their past, overcome unconscious patterns, and learn how to accept and love themselves, assert healthy boundaries, stop feeling ashamed, anxious, guilty, and angry so they can show up as the authentic woman that they want to be. Lavinia has lived and worked all over the world, and she currently lives with her partner and 3 children in the United Kingdom. You can find out more about her at laviniabrown.com. We love here at the Academy bringing you success stories of coaches who work in a whole variety of different niches. I am sure that some of you may have either thought yourself or seen the potential messaging out there that you can only have an incredibly successful, thriving business as a coach if you are somehow or another a business coach, or you're doing business consulting, or you're helping other people grow and build businesses. And that is just simply not the case. Lavinia is an extraordinary example of this. She works with mums and has been doing so now for many years in a variety of different ways and experiencing extraordinary success with that, which she tells us all about in this interview ahead. I know that this is going to be a success story that so many of you will be excited to listen into, either because you are a mother yourself and or you have a niche of working with mothers in some way too, which is a lot of people in our community. Enjoy this amazing success story and journey ahead with the incredible Lavinia Brown. Lavinia Brown, welcome to Inspired Coach Podcast. I am so excited to have this conversation with you today, all about your success story as a coach.
Thank you so much. I am beyond honoured to be featured on it. It's a real privilege. Thank you.
Now, Lavinia, you have had a wildly fascinating journey just as a human being, let alone as a coach. And I know that you did many, many things in your life before coaching found you, or you found coaching. But I would love for you to tell us, what was the intersection there? Like, when did you first start to think to yourself, I think I might like to train to become a coach? What was the catalyst or the life point that you were at that made you start down this path?
Great question. I'm the kind of person that can't not share something that I like. I'm the kind of person, when I've been to see a movie, I tell everyone about it. When I've been to a good restaurant that I like, I tell everyone about it. I like to share what I find inspiring. So I'm going back a step here. When I became a mother, it just bulldozed me and my sense of self and my sense of worth and my sense of what I was capable of and my limitations. So that led me eventually to look at my childhood and why I was facing the limitations I was facing with the children. Subsequently, I've come to see that motherhood was a massive initiation into who I was and the limitations I was facing to become who I wanted to be as a mum. Now, that's looking back. But at the time, I knew I needed to look at my own childhood in order to put the missing pieces together and understand what had gone wrong. And I found myself working with Bethany Webster, who I know you've already interviewed before. So I did the mother wound course with her, and I worked with her privately it ended up being 6 months because we were traveling at the same time. You might remember that we were on our year travel while I was doing the course, because you kept telling me to turn my mic off because there would be cows in the background or a lorry or some kind of temple. I was like, sorry. So anyway, I was doing Bethany and I was so passionate about this work. I had to share it. And I said, I would really like to do this in some way, bring this forward to other people. And she said, well, first of all, you should really get a qualification. Life coaching would be a good one. I said, I've got no idea where to start, where to go, but I followed her advice. And I remembered that in the back of my mind, this is why I hate social media, but I love it too. Every big decision I've made and every massive life-changing course I've done has come to me through social media. And this was one of them. I remembered, now I need to get her name right, that, she's beautiful and she wears red lipstick and is she half French? Anyway, she had done your course and she'd put it on social media. And I vaguely remembered, oh no, I do know something about life coaching. There's that, is it Marine or her name will come to me. Anyway, I looked her up and found the post and there you were. And I literally didn't look at any other coaching course. So I just signed up. So that was the intersection, basically saying, I want to share this work. What is going to give me the credibility and the confidence and obviously the knowledge to be able to bring this forward in a meaningful, impactful way?
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that, because I love doing this podcast so much and interviewing many of our coaches who are graduates of this course, because I don't necessarily know the exact personal story of every person that may come to study with us. So it's such a joy for me to find these things out. And Lavinia, I'd love to ask you actually, while we're in the study mode, you had mentioned that the significant, the huge, I mean, is there a bigger initiation in life than motherhood? I don't know. I'm not sure that there is, or parenthood, just in general. It is such a huge rite of passage and path of initiation. And as you know from studying our course, even if people don't realize it when they step into it, there's an enormous amount of personal development that runs alongside you learning the skills to become an incredible life coach. And so I'm interested to know, when you were studying, did that bring up further things for you about motherhood as you were going through and experiencing that personal development journey as well at that time?
To be honest, not so much. I know that a lot of the people that were doing it alongside me had massive breakthroughs and insights. I've been doing inner work since I was 23. I'm 49 now, so I've done a lot. So I didn't experience those massive breakthroughs that some of my cohort were, but definitely new insights and yes, new areas of myself that I was discovering. Absolutely, for sure. Yes. Yes. I
Yeah, I
can't
was
remember
just
what they
interested.
were.
Oh, well, it's many years ago now since you studied with us, and obviously you had done some really intensive work prior to coming to us. And so it's not so much that there is an expectation set that people will have massive breakthroughs. It's just always really interesting to me to hear that as someone is training to become a space holder, how that then transfers into them learning to hold better space for themselves. And yeah, so that's the thing that is often really interesting to me. But something I'd love to ask you about, Lavinia, is that I know, casting my mind back to when you were studying and newly graduated, is that you didn't necessarily fall into the niche of where you are now, which is around gentle parenting immediately, did you? It was something
No.
that took some time to come forth. And so tell us a little bit more about how that was for you and how you found your niche in the work that you do now.
Absolutely. And do you mind if I go back to your earlier question? Because I've thought of something
Yes.
that was a learning curve, which perhaps was unexpected, but I'm sure you come across this all of the time. But you pair us with buddies. So actually one of my big challenges at the time was a slight disconnect at the time between me and my buddy. We're now really good friends. I've been on her podcast. We're great fans of each other, and actually we have a very similar approach to how we see coaching and the world. But at the time, we were both a little bit bristly, wanting to do our best, and we had different, I guess, approaches to learning. I'm a Virgo. I'm very straight, very black and white. I like to do it as it says in the book. Otherwise, I feel I'm doing it wrong. She's Italian, Mara. She's Italian. She's much more go with the flow. It doesn't matter if you do what they say. We're going to do what feels right. And I was like, no, they've said we need to do this. She's like, it doesn't matter. No, we can't do it. And we brushed up against each other because of our differences of approach. So that in itself was a learning curve, having to manage two different types of personality. How are we going to get through this? How are we going to be each other's buddy? And in the end, I said to her, I can't work like this. I need to do it. I need to do it the way that I feel I'm getting the best out of the course. And we swapped. She got a different buddy. I got a different buddy. Worked out great. But it didn't mean that we weren't friends. We are now, like I said, great friends. But that was a learning curve that I wouldn't have expected. But it's all part of doing a course and being challenged to hold space and
Yeah.
meet triggers that you're perhaps not expecting. How do you manage them in an adult way?
Yeah,
And also
absolutely.
stand
Thank you.
up for what you want. I wanted to do it
Sure.
my way, and I felt I had to do it that way because that's what I'd invested in. She didn't. So she found a buddy that was more on her wavelength. I found one that was more on wavelength. So it all worked out. But I think it was an important lesson in standing up for what you want and managing that process in an adult way without falling out.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely fantastic because, of course, we do know sometimes that when we have different approaches to things, we can personalize such things very deeply to the point where we think that someone is insulting us, someone is disrespecting us, etc. When that is, of course, that's not what's happening at all. It's just two very different approaches, and so I'm so glad that the two of you were able to recognize that and work this out because look, the simple fact of the matter is, and this might be something that we have time to talk about later, is that we will also have clients in our lives as coaches where we have very different viewpoints and ways of seeing things. And that can sometimes mean that there is a rub and a challenge, and such things are not bad at all. In fact, that uncomfortability on behalf of both people in that relationship can be where the real growth occurs.
Absolutely. I've
And
had that many times. Yeah,
yeah,
clients where I'm like,
yeah, me
oh, it's that
too.
client. And I'm thinking, well, why am I thinking, oh, why do I feel her draining? Why do I find that she's hard work? What is it that she's triggering in me? And I love that. That's part of our job. How can I grow and meet that challenge and become a better coach. If I'm just coaching people that are identical to me, it's easy and it's fun and it's great, because usually they do really well because I know exactly how to bring them to where they want to get to, because I get them. But it would get boring. I want to be stretched. I want to be able to coach a much wider variety of people with different, like you said, approaches, challenges, and that's how you do it. By working with, I'm not saying you say yes to people who you just do not get on with, but that's quite rare. I don't think I've ever had that. But to challenge ourselves to work with people that perhaps aren't your ideal client, and working out why they're not, and expanding that notion of what ideal actually means. And is it just familiar? Is it comfortable?
I love that. I think that that is a great thing for every person who is listening, Lavinia, to this podcast right now to really think about, because we can come into such things, when we find something like coaching, for many people, if not all people that are listening to this podcast right now, that we feel incredibly passionate about and excited about. And that is absolutely something that is so worth harnessing, but it does not necessarily then mean that every interaction that you have with someone is going to be filled with roses and unicorns and rainbows. There are going to be challenges along the way, and that is not a bad thing. It's actually a really good thing. So let's come back to your niche. I know that this area of gentle parenting that you are now just thriving in and doing so well in was not necessarily, it didn't fall into your lap easily to begin with, even though you had done that work with Bethany Webster, who is a world-renowned expert in the mother wound area. So tell us a little bit about that journey of finding your niche, because this is often something that can be a bit sticky for new coaches.
Yeah. So when I first started with you, I remember I wasn't sure whether to call myself an authenticity coach or a confidence coach. That's where I started. And I remember being on a call with you going, I'm not sure which one. And you're so good at asking those leading questions that make someone think beyond why they've picked something and what is the layer underneath that and underneath that and underneath that. And I think that in itself wasn't strong enough. I had to have something stronger. So in the end, I ended up being a mum coach. So it was more, I think I went for the confidence. Authenticity was too broad. Confidence, so first of all, I went for the surface layer, and I think I didn't embrace fully what I do now. So just to tweak your interpretation of what I do, I help mothers to become the gentle parents, the conscious parents really, because gentle parents is a bit of a subjective word, but the conscious parents that they want to be through healing their inner child. So that, in a way, if we're talking amongst coaches, that's my hook. My hook is, I'm finding this really difficult. She can help me become the better mother. But actually, parenting is a byproduct. Parenting is what happens. You become a better parent when you heal yourself. You become a better partner. You become a better everything, better employee. So the hook, the marketing hook, is if you're struggling with parenting, I can help you. But actually, it's much wider than that. But I hadn't really fully got that, and I evolved my business as my clients evolved. I think when I look back to the people I coached at the beginning, I coached them to the depths that I had gone myself, or rather to the depths that I felt confident taking people to. So I'd done this really deep personal work with Bethany, but there's no way that I was going to do that with other people. I wasn't fully formed and fully healed, to be honest. So I think that's a really amazing trait that coaches can bring to this work that perhaps therapists, from what I understand, aren't allowed or don't feel confident to necessarily bring to their work. I think, and maybe I'm misinterpreting coaching, but this is the way I do it. I'm quite personal. If there's something that has happened to me or that feels relevant to share, then I will share it. And people have said to me, I love that you're so authentic. I love that you share where you're going wrong and what's gone wrong for you, because that makes me feel that I don't have to be perfect, and you're really relatable. And I think many therapists don't do that. Perhaps they're not allowed to, but they're more the kind of the professional behind the desk, and the client is someone that they don't really share their own personal story. So I didn't go into the inner child until I realized that I was talking about the inner child with everyone. I was talking about their past and how their parents and their childhood affected how they're showing up as parents, without actually mentioning it anywhere on my website, which is where I did. And I always remember that you say you should redo your website or think about your branding once every 3 years or so. That was my first 3-year redo. And I brought in the whole concept, what I was actually doing, but I was scared to market it. I thought I would put people off. I thought it would be scary to talk about. I mean, it still is quite taboo. People don't talk about how their parents didn't meet their needs. We all want to think that we had beautiful childhoods and that it was all rosy, and that's part of the problem. That's the resistance, putting our parents up on a pedestal. So this work isn't parent bashing by any means, but it's really acknowledging where your parents perhaps fell short, because they are flawed human beings, just as we are all flawed human beings. They tried their best, but there's always going to be a gap between how you want to show up and how you did. There is in every mother. Every mother can admit that themselves, but when it comes to talking about their parents, they're like, oh, no, they were perfect. Well, they can't both be true. So I was scared of bringing up the dark, negative stuff, because I thought that would alienate any mums that wanted to work with me. But when I took that leap of faith and became even more niche, so I'm not even a mum's coach, I'm a mum's coach for people who experience attachment trauma, who can't be the gentle parents they want to be. So when I niched even further, then I got even more amazing clients that really fitted what I wanted to do. So,
And I think
yeah.
that's really a very, very important point to mention, Lavinia, because, and there's a lot of goodness in there, that so many people are afraid of niching. They believe that it will cut them off from a lot of potential clients, when in fact so often, if not all the time, what we see is that until you get really focused and really clear and really specific about the areas that you want to work in, you're a watered down version of who you can be. Now, that does not necessarily mean that you have to find it straight away. Not at all, because some people genuinely need to go out there and coach a lot of different people before they can fully find what is right for them, and that is the best path forward. But it's really exciting for me to hear that when you really started to notice an uptake and the success beginning to bubble up in your business was when you got very specific and clear about your niche. And I think it's also really important to mention that you've gone on to do a lot of extra study since you've trained with us around trauma and healing and a variety of different things that now allow you to be in this space with mothers, which is absolutely wonderful. So you're bringing in lots of different skills, and the way that you talk about your work is with such depth and passion. How you show up on social media. I know you do a podcast as well. It's obvious, well, at least it is to me, but maybe I should check. I shouldn't just assume, but it feels like you've really found your dream area of coaching and working. Would I be right in saying that?
100%. And it continues to evolve. You know, as I do the work and I study more and I niche even more into what I find exciting and meaningful, then I draw different kinds of clients and I can add that work into what I bring, and it's constantly evolving. Absolutely. But I want to say, just to underline, because I think this is so important, and you said this from the very beginning, and part of me was like, oh, will that happen? It took me 4 years to make the same or more, I think, I can't even remember, more money than I was making in my last job. 4 years. And that was 4 years of doing exactly what you said, showing up consistently on social media, 4 posts a week, 1 blog a month, 1 vlog a month, whatever it was that I was doing. And I'm still doing that. I'm still sending out 1 newsletter a week, 1 blog a month, 1 vlog a month, 5 posts every week. And my partner's like, you're so consistent. And I'm like, because I have to be, because and I'm sure your other, the other coaches will agree with me. I have people that come to me that tell me they've been following me for 2 or more years. That is how long it has taken them to take that leap of faith. And I know my area is a bit more kind of perhaps, I don't know, scary or niche, like you said. So you need to, it can be a bit off-putting. There's a lot of resistance towards doing this work. But it took me 4 years, 4 good years. And since then, I've never looked back. It's absolutely flown. But yeah, adding new things in, keep adding podcasts, changing. I now work with my partner and we do relationship work together because he works with dads, I work with mums. It made sense because we were hearing about the other partner and how they were doing the work and then they were amazing. And my partner's not on the same page anymore. And we just thought, let's try it. Let's see. So that's, it's a work in progress, but absolutely, the more you niche, the more the people that need you will be desperate. Maybe that's the wrong word, but will just think that you are exactly what they need. And therefore, I'm not saying it's all about money because it absolutely isn't about money, but you can charge a really good price for what you're offering because the people you're offering it to want exactly that and they can't find it anywhere else.
I love that. I think that is, and I really appreciate you raising another thing, Lavinia, that is actually deeply connected to how powerful a niche can be, is that the more you are clear about that and very, very specific, the more likely you are going to be meeting certain people's very specific needs that are harder for them to find support with anywhere else. Yeah. And so don't be afraid, everyone. Don't be afraid. Lavinia is clearly here telling us that part of her huge success story, and she's, now touching tens of thousands of people, hundreds really of thousands of people around the world, is niching really specifically and the consistency that you mentioned. Of course, we know that consistency is something that can be challenging for a lot of people with neurodiverse ways of thinking or just their life in general, but it's what's worked for you. And this is why I love to bring different stories and different people to the podcast, because different things work for different people. Lavinia, is there anything else that you feel is a key to your success? Like, you're running this global, international, thriving, incredible business. When you think about that and you think, oh, this is also a part of that, Julie, is there something else that comes to mind?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, the thing that pops into my mind is I love the flexibility of this work. As you say, people have different approaches to work, to clients, to all of that. But I started this when my children were very small. And I started literally working whilst they were napping or whilst the eldest was at nursery. And it was small for 4 years because that's all I could manage. And I kept telling myself, I don't need to run the world yet. I can do, once they've gone to school, I can do a little bit more. And then once they've done that, I can do a little bit more. And I just kept plugging away. So it's back to that consistency. But I love the fact that I can work for myself. I'm someone that when I am passionate about something, I will give it my all. And I've also worked for many, many companies and been an employee, and I've come out and I've worked for myself, then I've gone back to a job, then I've, yo-yoed a bit. To have a job where you can put all of yourself and get all of the reward and have it match your lifestyle. I can work on a Sunday, I can take Monday off, I can do whatever I want. All coaches know this, but to be able to do that and be successful, I'm just constantly so grateful. I can't believe every day, I cannot believe that I get paid to do this. It's just, I get paid to have amazing conversations with people, to support people that are feeling rubbish and bring them to a place where they cannot believe that they've got to. And I get to do it in my own time. I get paid really well. It's just incredible. It's the best job in the world, literally.
Well, you're not going to get any arguments from me about that. Lavinia Brown, thank you so very much for being with us on the podcast. We are beyond proud and happy for you with absolutely everything that you are achieving. Your work is very needed in the world. You know, is there any more important job in the world than raising future generations? I'm not sure there is. I think it is without question one of the most important things, whether you do it as a parent, an auntie, a grandparent, a guardian, whatever it may be. Influencing children and teens as they are rising and growing is such an important thing. And so thank you for being a pioneer in this work and for all that you do.
Thank you. It was all down to you. Thank you for being such an inspirational and amazing teacher, guide, mentor, really, woman.
Oh, well, thank you, Lavinia. I'm a small part of many, many moving pieces I feel in your life, but thank you. I'm grateful for that and grateful to you as well. Thank you for being with us today.